Hi, in this video we will show you how to analyze Revas Business Simulation Games Round 3. I will use Travel Agency as an example, but if you play any other game, you can also watch this video to get an idea. In this video, we will present you the results from Round 3, but the results from the next round should be analyzed exactly the same way. Let's start from the dashboard. You can see your ranking there, as well as your net income from the previous round and your current balance account. Let's go to the scorecard now. Scorecard is the base for the ranking of the companies. It compares all competitive companies based on a few indicators. The main indicator, which is the base of the ranking, is the business result. Business result is the product of the remaining 5 indicators which you can see on the screen. Economic result. This indicator evaluates the company in terms of 2 elements: income and company's value. It mainly indicates if you make profit or not, but also if the company is growing in terms of value. This indicator will be positive if the company is profitable and negative if it suffers a loss. The higher economic result, the better. Employee satisfaction. This indicator assesses the extent to which employees are satisfied with the working conditions. That is salary, bonuses, the type of contract, the quality of the equipment they work on, and in a subsequent rounds also training. This indicator can range from 0 to infinity. The higher the better. Customer satisfaction informs you about the extent to which your customers are happy with your offer. That is price, discounts, quality of services, or available amenities. This indicator, just like employee satisfaction, can range from 0 to infinity. And again, the higher the better. Business development is an indicator telling if your company is growing, that is, if you're launching new services, investing in new equipment, or hiring new employees, etc. The higher ratio, the better. Debt ratio gives you information if you manage to finance yourself with your own funds or if you are using debt. This indicator takes values from 0 to 1. A value of 1 means that your company did not need any funds from the banks. A ratio below 1 means that some of the funds for financing the business came from the credits or loans. So the creditworthiness decreases and the risk increases. All the indicators in the scorecard show your company's situation in comparison with the competition. For example, when calculating the employee satisfaction, the system compares the working conditions in all companies. And in the case of customer satisfaction, the system will compare the prices and quality of offers of all companies on the market. If any of the above mentioned indicators is less than or equal to 0, then business result is 0. If all indicators are positive, then business result will also be positive. If there are teams not classified in the ranking, it means that they either made no decision in the previous round or that their decisions were incomplete and there were no services prepared for sale. After analyzing the scorecard, check the result of all the other decisions. In every tab in the menu, a results section has appeared. Let's start from looking at the financial report, which shows the most crucial economic indicators. Here you will find information about revenues, costs, and income for the last month. In addition, if you have taken a credit or if an emergency loan has been automatically launched, there will be a note about the debt here as well. On the next tiles, you can check your current account balance and possible funds you have on deposits. A very important tile is the one presenting the value of lost sales. If there is any amount here, you absolutely need to find out what is the reason for the lost sales. More about this later in the video. The next tiles are the number of your employees and the number of services you had on offer in relation to the number of services available for the sales in the previous round. In the following months, there will be also a cumulative results section showing the same items in total since the beginning of the game. Now, let's move on to the sales tab. Remember that you must understand how your offer was received by customers and how your competition prepared their offer. It is essential to draw a right conclusion and make a good decision in the next round. Go to the Sales tab and select the Results section, which is on the right. All the charts in the Results section show the effect of your actions in the previous round. Some of them present the results of companies operating on the market. By analyzing them, you can tell how well your company does against the competition. The rest of the results is only available to you. The first chart shows the demand for particular services in the previous round. We can check how many customers wanted to buy individual services in all companies operating on the market. By looking at this chart, you can also tell how many services the teams had on offer in the previous round. How many customers choose your offer depends on its attractiveness in comparison to the competition. Remember, the customers compare the offer of all companies, so the demand depends not only on your actions, but also on the actions of your competition. Let's now analyze our case. We have two companies on the market, Globe and the Traveler. In the previous round, both companies were selling 3 services. If we include both teams in the chart, we can compare the demand for individual services. When comparing your situation with other teams, it's always worth comparing yourself to the best. If you're not in the first place, find the leaders and check what the situation was for them. If it happens that you're the best one, then look at the teams with the worst scores to try to understand why you were better. In our case, let's assume I'm the Globe team. In the chart, I can see that my competitor, Traveler team, has more customers for all services. It means this team's offer was more attractive than mine. What was the reason? Well, at this point, mainly the price and quality of the offer. In the next rounds, marketing will also have an impact on the demand, but it's not available yet. My task then will be to check the prices and quality of the offers to find the answer to the question why more customers decided to choose the Travelers team's services. Remember, there is no best strategy. Sometimes it's better to have fewer customers but sell them your services for a higher price, and sometimes it's more profitable to set a low price and have a high demand. The next chart shows how the demand forecast for your services looked like in comparison to the actual demand that has been generated on the market. So how many customers you thought would come and how many actually did. Let's see on our example. We have 3 situations here. The first is that demand forecast is higher than actual demand. We were expecting 12 customers and only 11 came. The situation is good on the one hand, because if we bought the right amount of resources, we should be able to serve all customers with no lost sales. On the other hand, be aware that we will pay for the cancellation of reservation for customers who did not show up. In this case, it's just one customer, so it's not a problem, but if difference was bigger, then the cost could be significant. If the difference is big, you should consider lowering demand forecast or trying to improve the attractiveness of your offer, for example by changing the price or quality of the service. The second situation, in this case of family holidays, is a perfect match between the demand forecast and actual demand. We had as many customers as we expected. This is an ideal but quite rare situation. The third situation is when the actual demand is higher than our forecast. This means that we underestimated the demand, we expected fewer customers, but in fact more came. What is the result? Most likely a lost sale. If we were preparing the adventure holiday for 12 customers, then we bought the resources for exactly that number. It means that for the additional 4 people, most likely there were no daily meals, no plane seats, and so on. In such a situation, it is necessary to think about what to do in the next round in order to improve the situation. We can increase the demand forecast to prepare to serve more customers, or for example, change the price and reduce the demand this way. The next chart is one of the most important, if not the most important, in the whole analysis of the results. You can check here if the demand has turned into a sale. Remember that even though there was a demand for your services, it does not automatically mean that you sold them and earned money. Demand means the customers who report that they would like to buy your services. Turning the demand into sales is up to you. If you have prepared the supply, that is, if you have enough employees, equipment and resources to serve these customers. In the table and in the chart, you will find the following details. Demand, that is how many customers wanted an individual service. Sales, that is how many customers you managed to serve. And the lost sales, that is how many customers you failed to serve. If you have a lost sales, it is necessary to check why. Lost sales happen in a situation where more customers came to us than we expected. In this case, you should consider changing the demand forecast in the next month. It's different when, as in our case, the demand forecast was higher than the actual one. In this situation, lost sales should not occur, and it's necessary to check what we lack to serve all customers, equipment, employees or resources. We'll do this in a moment. Let's just see the latest information available in this tab first. On the price after discount chart, you can see how much your competitors were earning for every service. There is no information about the basic price and the possible discount. The prices, they are the final prices that the customer paid. Pay attention to how your price looks like in comparison to the competition. For example, you wanted to be the cheapest company in the market, but so did all your competitors. And it turns out that you are not that cheap. It is important that you understand your position on the market in terms of price and quality of your offer in each round. If you're playing the university level of the game, in the last chart you can check the cost of complaints of individual employees. Remember, the cost of complaints depend on the employees you have chosen, on the risk of complaint ratio to be precise. If the costs are higher and you want to minimize them, hire employees who have a low risk of complaint. From round 4, you will also be able to send your employees to trainings, which will reduce this indicator. Now let's analyze the results for equipment, employees and resources. Go to the Investment Equipment tab and select the Results section. In the first chart you can see the number of pieces of equipment in all companies, as well as their quality. In the chart on the left, you can select the color corresponding to the team you want to analyze and see how many pieces of equipment a given company has and what of quality. The second chart in the table shows the equipment utilization. This is a very important element in lost sales analysis. It's necessary to check what was the utilization of the equipment, that is how much time out of available 160 hours per month the equipment was occupied. We can see that my equipment was equally utilized in 45%. What does it actually mean? Let's take a look at the desk, for example. I have one desk in my company. The maximum working time of equipment per month is 160 hours. It means that my desk was occupied for 72 hours and empty for 88 hours. So it could easily be used to serve more customers. If the customer service time is 2 hours, as in the case of the first 3 services, it means this desk could serve 44 more customers. So in this case, it was not the equipment that was bottleneck and resulted in a lost sales. When it comes to the equipment utilization, remember 2 things. Firstly, if the utilization of the particular piece of equipment is high, meaning above 80%, you have to consider if you need to buy another piece of the same equipment. Secondly, you can always count the exact number of customers that could still be served by your equipment. To calculate it, multiply the number of pieces of equipment you have by 160 hours in order to know the number of hours available for this equipment in a month. On the basis of utilization table, check how many percent of time the equipment was free, that is 100% minus the utilization. If you multiply this by the working time per month, you will know how many hours are left. With this information you can calculate how many more customers can be served on this equipment. Okay, now let's go to the HR Employment tab results section. The first chart shows the number of employees in individual companies and the details about their experience. The second chart is the utilization of employees' time. Just like in the case of equipment utilization, you can check here how much time your employee was busy in the previous month. Let's take our example. The international travel consultant on the traveler team was busy for 45% of their time, while on the globe team, 48.8%. In both teams, employees still had more than 80 hours of working time at their disposal, so they were certainly not bottleneck and did not cause lost sales. Just like with the equipment utilization, remember 3 things about using employees' working time. Firstly, if the utilization is high, meaning above 80%, then you need to consider if you need to hire another employee. Secondly, you can always count the exact number of customers that could still be served by your employees. To calculate it, multiply the number of employees of a given profession by 160 hours in order to know the number of their working hours in a month. On the basis of the utilization table, check how many percent of time they were free. That is 100% minus the utilization. If you multiply this by their working time per month, that is 160 hours, you will know how many hours are left. With this information, you can calculate how many more customers can be served by your employees. Thirdly, if employee time utilization is low, think about how you can fill the gaps in their schedules. You can add more services to your offer which needs this type of employee, you can change the price or spend more on marketing to attract more customers. And if your utilization looks like due to the fact that you have hired too many employees, you might also need to fire some of them. The last chart shows the average salary of employees in the market. You can compare the salaries in your company with the competition. Remember that employees' salary affects their satisfaction level on the scorecard. Now let's go to the supplier stop results section. The first table shows all resources you bought in the previous round. In the columns you will find details about how many items of given resources you have bought, how many have been used, and how many are being returned because the reservation has been cancelled. Remember, there is no resource storage in travel agency, so all purchased resources have either been used to serve customers or returned to the supplier. In the game other than travel agency, there is a resource storage available. For more details, see the simulation guide. There are two things worth paying attention to in the first table. Firstly, resources that have some returns. Are these returns due to the fact there are fewer customers than we assumed for given service, or we have accidentally bought too many items of given resource? If the returns are several items, that's not a problem. But if there are dozens or hundreds of them, the cancellation cost can be very high. So it's worth checking that the month forecast has been calculated correctly. Secondly, resources that have no returns. In this case, you need to check if there was not enough to serve customers who wanted to buy our services in the previous month. Let's check what it looks like in our case. Let me just remind you that my team has lost sales on seaside holidays. The demand forecast was 12 customers, and despite their presence, only 2 of them were served. So let's check if the resources weren't the problem. Let's go over all the resources required for the service one by one. The first one is plane seats, seaside holiday round trip. We bought 12 plane seats, which should be enough to serve 12 customers. 2 tickets used and 10 returned. There was no problem with this resource. The second resource is daily meals, seaside holidays. Remember that in the case of meals, we buy 7 daily meals per 1 customer. For 12 people, we should have bought 84 daily meals, and we had exactly that many. Of these, 14 were used to serve 2 customers, and the rest was returned, so there was no problem with this resource as well. The third resource is accommodation for seaside holidays. Remember that for this trip, we buy 6 nights per 1 customer. For 12 customers, we should have bought 72 nights, but only 12 were bought. This amount was enough to serve only 2 customers. Each of them used 6 pieces, and there was no more left to serve more. It was this resource that blocked the possibility of serving more customers, as we had no resource left. Let's check out the rest of the resources. The fourth resource needed for seaside holiday is a holiday representative. We hired 1 holiday representative. It could handle a group of up to 80 people, but it turned out they took care of only 2 customers, so the utilization of their capacity was at 0.02. Because the representative was working with 2 customers, this order could not be cancelled. They could easily take care of a larger group, so there was no problem with this resource. A similar situation was with the fifth resource, that is with the shuttle bus from the airport to the hotel and back for the seaside holidays. We ordered 1 bus which could easily transfer up to 40 people, and only 2 customers use it, but because the bus was used, there is no return. However, the transfer could easily take a larger group, so there was no problem with this resource. The last resource needed for serving the seaside holidays is international insurance. 43 pieces of insurance were bought for all services. Remember that international insurance was needed for all 3 services. 36 of insurance were used and 7 were returned. It means that with the number you had, it was possible to serve 7 more customers, so also this resource did not cost lost sales. All in all, it was the resource problem. Accommodation for the seaside holidays, to be specific. The conclusion from this situation is that in the next round you need to calculate the resource requirements more precisely. Only then you can check it if the order has been correctly entered at the supplier to ensure that all potential customers are served. The last chart is the quality of resources. By hovering the cursor over the color of the team you want to analyze in the graph on the left, you can see the quality of the resources. It will help you understand what the quality of your services look like compared to the competition. Analyze the data in the same way in the subsequent rounds. There will be probably more results to analyze, but the rules of interpreting them remain the same. Additionally, you will see more results tab, for example, concerning traditional marketing on online marketing. Analyze everything that is available in the current round, and on this basis draw conclusion about what happened in terms of sales in the previous rounds. Think about how you should react in order to improve your result and get your company the highest in the ranking. Define your problems, find those places where you have made mistakes, and those where competition has made better decisions. After doing that, plan corrective actions and adjust your strategy. I hope that everything is clear, and remember that you can find even more details in the simulation guides which are available for all simulations. Good luck and talk to you soon.